In this video, we will deal with model, view, controller and router to create a shortcode that prints list of posts. If we look at the architecture diagram here, we get to know that main plugin file calls the file called roots.php. This roots.php file contains roots required for our plugin. Let's open roots.php file and go through it. I'm going to use Visual Studio Code Editor for the development of our plugin. So let's go here and open roots.php. Here at the top we can see list of all root types and their description. For example, here is the admin root type, which is used to register admin related roots. The controller or model which is tied to this root type is called while loading the WordPress dashboard. Similarly, there are many more root types which have their own purposes. There are few examples given in this file explaining how to use these roots. We had seen in the last video that after installing the plugin, we got one settings page. That settings page appeared because of this root. This is the admin root type. Therefore, these mapped controller, model and view classes are loaded only during dashboard rendering. If we take a look at with controller call here, we can see it has two parts. These two parts are separated by @ symbol. The method that is passed after @ symbol is invoked automatically after creating an instance of the class. And this method must be the public method. The @ symbol is supported by only two methods, that is with controller method and with just model method. Register root of type with model and with view methods do not support @ symbol. The part here that comes after @ is optional. With model and with view, these two methods go along with controller root. By the way, with model and with view methods are also optional. So if your root needs just controller without any model or view, you can do it. Here are the examples of possible combination in which roots can be defined. If the root we want does not need a view and a controller, then we have to use with just model method. We can see the example of with just model method here. Coming back to our goal for this video. Once again, our goal is to create shortcode that prints list of posts. We will have to write our own root in this file. Because shortcodes are mostly executed only on front-end side, we are going to use front-end root type here. Register root of type root type front-end. I'll start with only with controller method. I won't pass with model and with view right away. We will pass them as we move on. Let's name our controller print posts shortcode. Also at this point in time, I won't be passing any method to be invoked after instantiating the class. We will do that as we move on. Let's create a controller class. One thing that we have to keep in mind is any controller or model which is exposed in this routes.php file must extend respective base controller or base model class. Frontend and admin folders have their own version of base controller and base model. That means you can find two base controllers, that is here and here, and similarly you can find two base models here and here. The purpose of these base controllers and base models classes is to define methods in these classes which others must declare when they create their own controller or model. Think of them as a blueprint. So now let's take a close look at the blueprint of the controller that we are going to extend. So we will be creating our controller inside this front-end directory. Therefore, we'll have to extend this base controller. We can see that this base controller class has this abstract method register hook callback. The purpose of this method is to register all add action or add filters required to achieve the task. Now let's create the controller class print posts shortcode.php, and we will extend the class. So first we'll have to define the namespace here, and the namespace is going to be example me app controller front end. Oh, okay, app controller front end, right? And now class print posts shortcode extends base controller all right. And because we are extending this base controller, we will have to define this register hook callbacks method. So I'm going to create protected function register hook callbacks, and as of now I'm creating this as a blank method because we are not yet sure which add action or add filter we are going to use during the building of this shortcode. We probably may not need any add action or add filter for that matter, but we will have to define this method. And this method should be ignored by document generators. Now let's see if our class is being loaded on the front end or not. And for that, we will write a little helper in our main plugin file. Okay, yeah. So add action, and now we are going to write on shutdown the purpose of this method is just to print list of classes being loaded on the front end. So class namespace is equal to example me slash app all classes. So get declared classes function gives us list of all classes which are being loaded. and now all we are interested in plugin related class. So I'm going to use array filter. The first thing that we will have to pass is all classes, and the internal name that we use inside this array filter for individual class should be class name. And of course we are going to need the namespace that we are interested in. So class namespace, right? And here we will return the class only when the class name is the part of class namespace. Sorry, if the class namespace is a part of the class name. That's 0, and we will have to write array filter is ended here, and now we will print echo printer dollar plugin, okay, dollar plugin classes true, and then 3. Okay, does everything seem right? This method is passed. Okay, something is wrong here. Array filter all classes function use. Oh, I think this is an extra. Okay, now let's go to front end and check if our class has been loaded or not. Okay, I'll do view source, and view source should give us list of classes. So here our print post shortcode and the base controller is being loaded. So now let's go back to our controller. Okay, and now we will create the function to register the shortcode. So again, this function will be public because I am planning to call this method directly inside our routes. So let's say register shortcode, right? Now add shortcode. It is example me print posts. So we are going to name our shortcode example me print posts, and the callback that we need to pass here is $this and then print posts callback, right? Yes. And so we have written this method, and let's just have a short description here. So what this does is it registers the example me print posts shortcode. Okay, it does not return anything. That is 1.0.0. Now we will need this method here. This method needs to be the public method. The reason is whatever we pass as a callback to the add shortcode or add action or add filter, all those methods need to be public method. If we make them private or protected, then in that case PHP cannot call those methods. Okay, so we have here print posts callback. Okay. By default, WordPress gives us list of attributes which are passed in this add shortcode. So when we write this, or when we use this example me print post shortcode in the content editor, or in the content area, then at that point of time if we pass in attributes, then all those attributes are available to us in this $atts variable. So the first thing that we are going to do is we will just we will just declare few defaults for the shortcode. So if particular parameter is not passed, then what default value should be taken, that is what we are going to define right now. So the first thing, or the important parameter that I'm considering right now here is number of posts. So if we do not specify number of posts when we write the shortcode in the content area, then the default value it should take is 10. And the last here is example me print posts. Okay, and now I will quickly write the remaining code to print list of posts. Okay, so our print posts callback method is ready now, and we will be testing the shortcode. But before we do that, we'll have to call this register shortcode method inside roots. So this is the method that we want in this case to be invoked after the controller class is instantiated, right? Okay, and now let's quickly add the explanation regarding this method. This is a callback to handle example me print posts shortcode, right? And the attributes here are array. These are attributes passed to shortcode, and this is going to return string. So that is nothing but the HTML to be rendered. Okay, let me quickly tell you that right now we have just written a very crude way, and we will be refactoring this method to make use of models and views. But before we do that, we'll just quickly check whether this method is really working or not. Okay, so to do that, let's test our shortcode on the front end. So I'm going to create a new page, and so let's give a title list of posts. Okay, and we need a shortcode block example me print posts. Okay, and we'll publish it and do view page. Okay, so we can see here the list of 10 posts, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Let's see if the attribute number of post attribute is working or not. So this attribute that we have declared here, let's just check quickly if that attribute is working or not. So that is number of posts is equal to 5. Yeah, or yeah, 5 is good, or let's make it 3. Okay, draft update. Is it updated? I think yes, it is updated. Now let's go to the front end. So here it is. We can see the title of 3 posts. Great. So that means this method is working. Now we have to make use of the models and the view. Okay. So how do we do that? Generally, models are used to handle the data layer. So all are part of fetching the posts. All this part should ideally go into the model, whereas this part of rendering the HTML should ideally go to the view. So let's start with defining the model here. So let's say with model, let's name our model same print posts shortcode. Okay, and if we go here, we'll have to create this model print post shortcode inside the front end only. So our root type actually defines where our controller, model and view go. If our root type was admin, then it would have gone inside the admin directory. Because our root type is front end, this will go inside the front end directory. So we are inside model front end, and we will create a new class print posts shortcode.php. Again, this class will extend the base model. So let's just take a quick look at base model. So this is the abstract class, and so here is also a method register hook callbacks. But observe that this is not an abstract method. That means we are not bound to extend this method inside our class. So let's go here and create the namespace, that is example me app. We are inside the model. So here now let's say class, that is print posts shortcode, which is going to extend base model, right? Now, so inside this class we will need a method to deal with returning of posts. So let's create the method. We will need a public method here, because this method is going to be called from our controller. Okay, so let's say it is get posts. Okay, now what get posts does is, we will quickly copy code from here to our new method, that is get posts method. Again, we will need an attributes here, so we are going to require the attributes which were passed to the shortcode, right? And all other things will remain same. And now here, instead of creating a separate variable, we will directly return new WP query. So this method is going to fetch posts. Okay, let's name this fetch posts only so that we'll have a consistency. Let's say fetch posts, right? Fetch posts. Okay, again, this is an array, and now what we need here is this only. We're going to copy the description from the controller, and this is going to return the object of WP query. It returns found posts WP query as WP query object, right? Okay, so now let's come back to our controller, and what we need is we will need fetch posts and $this. So get model is the method that directly returns the object of the model which we have passed inside our roots. Okay, so once we get that object, all we have to do is call the method that is fetch posts, and we are going to pass the attributes that we got, right? Okay, and now if we come here and do the refresh, let's see if it still works. Okay, something is missing. We missed something here, and what is that? So let's go here. It is a public function fetch posts. Oh, my bad, it is fetch posts. Okay, so here is the list of those posts again, right? Now, so now our model is sorted. Now let's move to the view part. Now we have two ways to deal with the view here. Both ways need a template to be created. So first let's create a template, and then we will go through two ways of how we can deal with the template that we create. Okay, so to create the template, okay, I'm going to create a directory inside this as frontend, because our template is going to be the frontend related template, and inside that I'm going to create a file. Let's say, yeah, print post shortcode maybe. Yeah, so yes, now we have created this template file, and I'm going to copy this code from here to here, right? So it should start with PHP. Okay, so now our template is ready. Now let's see how we can deal with this template. Now one method or one way to deal with the template is we can either create, we can call the template even if we don't pass roots, even if we don't pass a view separately inside the roots. So how do we do that? In that case, what we do here is we need a view, right? And we will need a render template, and now we will pass our template, so that is front end. So what was the directory? So here we directly pass the path inside templates directory. So we have created our template inside front end print posts shortcode, print posts shortcode. The next parameter that is passed to this method is array of parameters. So the fetched post that we created there, we are going to pass that that object to our template. What am I gonna do is I'm just going to copy this part, right? And now I'm going to, okay, again, because we are dealing with the shortcode, we'll have to return this thing. Let's see if we are still doing right. Okay, so we are missing something. So what are we missing right now? So view, render template, front end, right. We have to pass here the full file name. So our file name is front end, and inside that we have passed print post shortcode.php file. So that's why we need to pass the file name completely. And now let's see. Alright, so our list of posts is again here. So we have seen one method of dealing with templates. Now the other method is to create a specific view and then calling our template from that view class. The advantage of that method is your controller or your method is not directly dependent upon the template. So in this case, we have direct coupling between our method and the template. Now this can be avoided if we have another view layer, a separate view layer. So how do we do that? So let's go back to our roots and create with view print posts shortcode, right? And we will go inside views. Again, we will have to create a front end directory, and we will create a class print post shortcode .php. So we have created a new class here. Okay, PHP name space example me app views. Okay, example me app views, and it is going to be front end, because This views folder didn't have front end folder till now. This front end namespace was not registered yet. That's why we have typed it manually. Now we are going to create the class print posts shortcode, and this class should extend view, right? And let's create the public method, because that method is going to be called from controller again. Public function that says display posts, right? And we might need, oh, not might, we definitely need the arguments, because all those arguments are going to be passed to the template, right? So here dollar this render, oops, render template, here again front end print posts shortcode.php, right? And the next argument is fetched posts, and we have to pass fetched posts. Or maybe what we can do is we can directly pass $args, so that we don't have to manually type each and every data that we need to pass to the template, right? Okay, so let's go to the controller, and here now what we can do is return $this get view, $return get view, and let's just say display posts. Oh, we need to pass here the argument, so that argument is going to be fetched posts, right? And it was $this get model and fetch posts $ats. All right, so let's see if it is still working or not. All right, so this is still working. That means we have implemented correctly. So now you have understood how to create a controller, model, or view using the MVC plugin boilerplate, and we have just created a shortcode that uses controller, model, and view. You might be wondering how is really helpful to create a view layer separately. Think of it in this way. Now we are dealing with a very short template, which is a very small. Assume if we are dealing with a very long template, then in that case you would have to divide your template in multiple parts. and in that case you would have here multiple render templates written. Now generally the concern of rendering template can be delegated to the separate view if you have a separate view class. So this way you don't have a direct coupling between your method and the template. So tomorrow if you open your view and instead of the print push shortcode, if you pass some other template here, it would work seamlessly. Your controller wouldn't need to know about this new template.